Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to talk a little bit about transition from high school to college and what it takes to get to that point. Today's guest is Pat Russell. She's a teacher professor at Drexel University and also runs as the director of freshman academic seminars. And welcome, Pat.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So usually I start out with everyone. Where did you go to college, and how you progressed to where you are today?
Well, I went to LaSalle University, and I graduated there in 1988, and I wanted to be a high school math teacher. And while I was there, my professors talked me into going to graduate school. So I applied to Drexel University, and I got a teaching assistant, and I'm still at Drexel University. I just never left.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. So now you teach there?
Yes, I've been there for 25 years.
Wow, as a math professor?
I was the assistant or associate department head for math for 19 years.
Wow.
And then I recently decided I wanted to get more into teaching and deal with the students instead of the administrative work. So I gave up being the associate department head, and then this opportunity came along for the freshman academic seminar. So I thought it was an exciting opportunity.
So how many years has this freshman academic seminar been around?
This is the pilot program. This is the first year.
Okay.
So I worked last year with the different colleges trying to set up a program and deciding exactly how we were going to run the program. And I think about every 3 months the idea from the provost's office changed. But eventually we decided on a freshman academic seminar we did some focus groups with current students and asked them what would make their freshman year better. And the two things that came across most was the students felt like a number because there were just so many students, and they didn't have enough opportunity to build a relationship with the faculty members that they wanted.
Okay.
And they ended up spending so much time with students in their own major that they wished they had the opportunity to meet students from different majors across the university. So they were the three ideas that we used to build the program.
And so how does a student go from high school and get into the program at Drexel University? Of course, they get accepted into Drexel, I'm assuming that.
First of all, they were accepted into Drexel. Then we took the list of majors who were taking the math courses that we were going to offer this year. And we sent out invitations to students at random. We had 2 different waves. So this year was an opt-in, opt-out. So the students were invited to join the program.
Okay.
And at any time they can opt out, so it's up to them. We also chose the students who were not in any other program. So we have some learning communities at Drexel where the students all live on the same floor in the dorms, but they would be all engineers or all business majors, and they're living together and they're taking classes together. We wanted to give them, our idea was to have a learning community, but the students can live in the dorms, or they can be commuters, and they could be in different majors.
Gotcha. So any major can get into this particular seminar of transition?
Eventually, maybe.
Eventually.
Right now, we only have, there's 2 math professors and 2 English professors.
Okay.
So we only have the opportunity to offer limited number of math courses.
Okay.
So we only let the students who were in the majors that were taking our math courses.
Okay, so what's the process for the student? How does the student transition? What type of transition is it?
Well, if the student chooses to come into our program over the summer, they come in and they're in an English class with only 15 students, and our goal was to have the math courses only have 20 students, which are smaller classes. And they actually take their math and English with the same professor the whole year. So Drexel has 10-week terms. So if you come in and you're not in our program, every 10 weeks you have to re-register for classes. So you may be able to take your math with the same professor, but it depends on your registration time ticket. So,
I got you.
and you may not want to, and in that case you have to.
So are you doing most of your finding of these kids while they're at Drexel University, or is someone out there actively going from high school to high school trying to find these students?
These are students who are actually accepted into Drexel, and then the enrollment management, the admissions office will send out the invitations. So
Okay.
they choose
Who's going to come
gonna
into
come
the
in.
program? I
Yeah.
got you. Okay, so now, once they're in the program, do they go all 4 years?
We only have a freshman program. One of the things, students come into college, and it's a very different experience for them. They really have to learn to be to advocate for themselves and to go after information. So we give them the opportunity where all that information is in our office.
Okay.
So in fact, this morning I spent the time registering students for their spring classes. So they tell me what classes they get. They get priority registration, and then we register them. And if there's a problem or, a class is full, we can take care of it early.
So is this something that's added to the guidance office?
Yes.
It is.
It's so they have an academic advisor that helps them, and they're the ones that would build a relationship, because they're the ones that would make substitutions for them or
Gotcha.
whatever. But we're extra, so we have the opportunity to take each student on an individual basis and help them register rather than having
Sure.
them trying to register themselves.
And the priority class is very
that's-
big for a student.
They've discovered in the beginning of the winter term that was a very big perk
Absolutely.
because their friends couldn't get into the classes they wanted or had to take classes at times that were inconvenient to them. So
That's
it's
great.
a big perk.
Yeah. So now, what type of transition do a lot of these students take as freshmen? Is it just not knowing anyone at the school, and are they trying to just find friends, or is this something where it's just basic academics?
Well, we're having some activities. So we just had, Philadelphia has Restaurant Week.
Okay.
So we invited the students to go to Restaurant Week with the faculty.
Okay.
So the students decided to go, and they went to a restaurant in Center City, Philadelphia. The program picked up half of the tab for the dinner. So for $20, they got to go out for a 3-course meal. And there were I think 4 students with every faculty member. So this is an opportunity to get to know the faculty members in a way that you don't normally do in the freshman year. I mean, I know all the students' first name.
Wow.
They write to their English professors, they write little stories. The English professor and the math professor talk to one another. So
Really?
if there's a problem, we can say to them, what's happening. They can tell us. So it's really we're trying to create a place where they really get to know us and we really get to know them. And then they have a friendship with a faculty member. And then when they're in the bigger classes where there's 200, 250 students in a lecture hall, they don't have that opportunity, but they have the comfort level to go up and talk to the professor. And we hope that helps them
Yeah.
deal with things in other classes.
So it really comes down to the academics and showing them that teachers are there to
There.
help them out and to guide them as
Guide
much
them.
as they can. But when there's 200 kids in a class,
You
do you
can't-
see it that the high school kids are not as apt to go up to a teacher?
Right. So they don't self-advocate as much as they do. So we've made that a really easy thing to do, and once they're comfortable talking with us, then they should be hopefully just as comfortable talking with the other professors.
Yeah, so now You said that there's about 20 or 30 kids in this
We
this
have
program?
90 students.
90 students.
90 students.
Wow.
Started out.
And then is next year going to be adding more, or is this something that just because it's a pilot, they're not sure if they'll continue it next year?
Well, we're in the process now of deciding how students are going to be invited to the program based on what happened this year.
Okay.
We are hoping to have 240 students next year, so
Wow.
I'm hoping to double my staff and
Yeah.
do the same thing again. So
Yeah.
the students like it. They really they feel the feedback that we've gotten are that the students feel close to the faculty members, and they enjoy the small classes. They've met other friends. They are meeting students from other majors.
Right.
I think a biology major said that they wish they had known an engineering major, because when they get to senior projects and have to do math,
Sure.
they want to get some help from their friends.
Sure.
The biology majors generally forget some of the math by the time they get seniors.
So now, tell me a little bit of how Drexel works compared to the program. The Drexel's on a trimester, you said?
Drexel's on a quarters trimester. Actually, Drexel is a co-op school, so we're
Okay.
open all year round.
Okay.
So the freshmen come in and they start in September and they end in June, just like everybody else. They take 3 terms and they have the summer off. And then when they come back in September, they either come back and go to co-op or they come back and take classes. And then in March, if you were in classes, you'll take your co-op.
I got you.
And if you were on co-op, you'll come back and take classes. So it's a 5-year program. The majority of students take the 5-year co-op program. We do have some majors that offer a 1 co-op
Okay.
program in 4 years, and then there's a no co-op program from some
Now, with the
others.
co-op, for the parents that are out there, they're going to work somewhere?
Yes, they go to work 6 months. I guess I'll use my son was a chemical engineer.
Okay.
He
Went to Drexel,
went to
I'm assuming?
Drexel,
Okay.
and he did his first co-op at FMC in Princeton.
Okay.
He did his second co-op in Reading, England with Johnson Matley. And then he did his third co-op in Baton Rouge, Louisiana with ExxonMobil. So
Wow.
these were real jobs that they actually got to do. And they have the opportunity to go all over the world if that's what they want. We do have international co-ops. The majority of them are in the Philadelphia area. But,
And does the school do the work for them on getting those co-ops?
we have a co-op office and we have a procedure. The students take a co-op 101 course in their freshman year or in the beginning of their sophomore year, where they learn how to do a resume. They do interviews and how to interview. And then they have a co-op job listing on the computers where the students apply for the jobs and they submit their resume. The employers get to the resume of everyone who's applied. They choose the people that they want to interview. The employer comes on campus usually to do the interviews, and then they make the offer.
Wow.
So we place a lot of students in co-op.
And so then the student, once they graduate, do they go to any of these co-ops, or do they end up going to another job?
A lot of times they'll go to the co-op where they had their co-op. The co-op employers feel that they get at least 6 months to see what kind of employee they are. So they often offer them the job. The other great thing about co-op is the students find out that they may not like what they're studying.
Sure.
Actually, Marna Mozef, who's one of the other math instructors in the program, she was an undergraduate student at Drexel, and she was studying to be an actuary, and she went out on her first co-op and came back and said, "Pat, there's no way I can do this." She says, for her, it wasn't right. So she tried another co-op, and eventually one time she was grading for us. I said, Marna, I have one recitation that needs covering. You're a senior. Do you want to try it? And she said yes, and she fell in love with teaching, and she went to graduate school and came back, and she's now teaching at Drexel too.
So could you give us a little understanding of where Drexel University is situated?
It's in University City in Philadelphia.
Okay.
We're practically right across the street from 30th Street Station. And we're right next to University of Pennsylvania. You walk down the street, you wouldn't know which college is on what side of the street. So it's in West Philadelphia.
Okay, great. So now, with the back to transition, you know a little bit about the school now.
Mm-hmm.
So the transition program, these students, when they get into the transition, what are they actually taking as a class? Is there any extra classes as part of it, or is it just regular classes?
Well, the program got its name from the freshman academic seminar, which they have to take. It's a 1-credit course that they take each term. The first term we had small classes with 11 to 15 students and 1 faculty member, and in that we stressed that the things that make you successful in university are within your power. You know, so we talked about studying, about practicing what you're not good at. We talked about registration. If you're having problems with a professor, how do you handle it? And those kinds of things in a very small group. Now, the winter term, we have 2 seminars with about 44 to 48 students in each, and we have a speaker come in every week. The first week was Marna, that's our math teacher, and she did a presentation on math study skills. The second presentation was one of our English professors, and she did a presentation on English, actually, and how your brain works, and how you have to pay attention to different things. And then our other English teacher did a presentation on working in groups and group dynamics, and what do you do when someone does all the work or somebody doesn't do any work, and what kind of a person are you in a group. And now we have someone from the Healthy You coming and talking about healthy eating and building healthy relationships. We have someone from the Counseling Center coming to talk about what kind of counseling is available to the students. And then they're the ones we have another psychologist coming on, and I forgot, he's also talking about working in groups.
Wow.
So we have people from outside the university, inside the university.
So it's not just math and English that they're picking up and the intricacies of that. They're picking up a lot of different aspects of college and what's happening.
We're trying to give them the information that they need to be successful, to make their own plan for success, because each person's different.
Sure.
One of the things that Marna did in hers was gave them a survey, online survey to do, to find out what kind of a learner they are. And then for each type of learner, there were suggestions on how you could study math in a way that would probably be beneficial for you. So I'm a tactile learner, so writing all the problems down in my hand is the way that's best for me.
And how you learn.
And how I learn, but there's also audio learners or visual learners, and there's different kinds of techniques that would help those. So for the visual learner, we have, some videos online that they can watch, or you can hear.
Sure.
You can play them over and listen to them if you're an audio learner. So there are different kinds of things that we're trying to help them pick up. And in the springtime, we're going to do, the seminar will be leadership. So we're going to talk about different leadership techniques. We're going to look at some leaders.
Do you do like public relations, public speaking, that kind of stuff, or is it other?
We don't tackle those yet. We're hoping that the leadership will then, it's we're being a little selfish. We want to train the students to maybe, so that they'll think about coming back and be peer mentors next year.
Oh, wow.
So, as an instructor or as a teacher or faculty member, we can stand up in front of the classroom and tell them over and over and over what we think is the right thing to do, but they listen better to their peers.
Sure.
So we want to involve them. Right now, we don't have anybody that went through the program to do that, so
Right.
we're hoping that the leadership section will help them become leaders.
Now,
And that'll help anybody, even if they're not going to be peer mentors for us.
Now, if this works at Drexel University, is Drexel University thinking about moving it to other colleges as well?
Actually, there are other colleges are doing similar things. This is not, the research shows that students that are in a smaller class or that some students that are cohorted do much better. So we're just taking research that's already done, plus the feedback that we got from our students, and we've designed the program on that. So we don't have any ideas of putting this out to another university. We're in the stage now where we really want to help our students. Demographics are switching, and retention is becoming an issue at all the universities. So, you know, what can we do to help the students be more successful so they stay and like our university?
But if it's very successful there, do they have any kind of plans that would think about moving it to other universities?
I think if it's successful, we're going to write up a paper and we're going to present it. So we are a research university
Sure,
after all, but
right.
we're not planning. That the idea behind the program was not to build a program that we could export. It's really to build a program that works for our students.
But that's what you're doing in a way with just the transition of, you know, the high school student coming to college, because a lot of times high school students are very reserved. They don't know what the new experience is going to bring, and they need to get some experience to get involved.
Right.
Right? So that's what this program is doing for them.
Right. We hope we're helping them get involved. We're also creating an atmosphere or a place where they can come and be comfortable. It's a little bit more like high school, but it's not high school. You know, here it is. You know, we're here. It's safe. You get to know us, and you're not feeling lost that no one cares.
Now, is there any way of bringing this to high school seminars and things like that to talk to them about what Drexel University can bring?
Oh, sure. We often have speakers that go out to, we would work through the enrollment management, and so when the enrollment management people go out and talk to high schools or do information sessions around the country, then they would have this program as saying that this is a successful program. We're not at that stage yet because this was just a pilot program, but we did develop some flyers and information packages last year, and then the program got changed at the last minute, so we didn't use them. So I don't know if there's any flyers or information sessions now. The recruiting, we'll start recruiting juniors now in the springtime.
Okay.
So that information will go out to the juniors.
So it'll be some type of pamphlet that
information.
So those recruiters will take out to the different high schools and
Right.
show them this is an extra added benefit that the school has.
Right.
Right. So now, how many students is the school bringing in as a freshman class? Is there a lot? 3,000?
3,000. We
3,000.
have 3,000 students. We've had 3,000 students, about 3,000 students for the past 3 years. So Drexel kept growing and growing, and right now we're holding it flat at 3,000 while we catch up and see how things go.
Sure.
But Drexel's grown quite a lot in the past 25 years.
Now, you were saying something about retention. Is it a major problem with all the universities across the United States, where retention to graduate or just retention to just stay from year to year?
Well, we would like to see our retention rates improve. Princeton, I don't think they'd have too much of a retention problem, but other universities do. So Drexel's an expensive school, and the co-op experience is different. So we're really taking a look. What part of our strategic plan is to improve retention. So we're taking a look at all of the things that we see that cause students to leave. I mean, sometimes you just can't help it. It's not the right school once you get there.
It's for a student that really likes a city,
Yeah.
right? Because how many universities are in the Philadelphia area? There's quite a few,
There's quite a few.
right? And how many restaurants and activities are there in the Philadelphia area?
I mean, if you just to name a few, and this is in all the schools, but there's Temple, Penn, Drexel, University of Penn, Philadelphia University. There's a lot of them right in the city, and
Yeah.
I mean, so we're competing with everybody, but we have the co-op opportunity also. So that's our niche.
An added
Our niche.
benefit, yeah.
You know, but
absolutely.
then the other thing is you're in school for 5 years instead of 4. But you know, we're looking at everything, but how we offer financial aid and our courses that are offered. And there was a time when the computer science students would go out on co-op, and the employers would offer them full-time jobs
sure.
when they were juniors, and they would be making more than the professors.
It's not happening like that now.
It's not happening like that, and then the students would have to come back. So, I mean, that was a retention problem before
Sure.
that we, of course, don't have now. But there's a lot of different reasons why students change schools or leave, and a lot of it is financial. So, you know, that's why we're looking over financial aid. And the other thing is when you go to a big school, sometimes the students just don't feel, they just feel lost.
Right.
And that's really the biggest thing that we want to avoid.
Now, there's only a minute or so left, Pat, so I just want to give you a little chance to tell everyone out there, you know, what do you want to leave them with?
I want to leave you with the idea that when you get to college, you need to be a self-advocate, which means you have to take care of yourself. There are tons and tons of programs and things that will help you out that are available to you. You just have to take advantage of them. Don't sit back and wait for them to come. And if you like, you know, we would love to see you at Drexel.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Pat.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to The Secrets of College Planning.